Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wist. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. Hello, Dusty Mancinelli and Madeline Sims-Fewer. I was impressed and disturbed by your film Violation. Can you pinpoint how you came out with this initial concept?
Thank you.
We actually met at the TIFF Talent Lab. So we met at the Toronto International Film Festival 5 years ago, and just really hit it off. We clicked. We had really similar creative sensibilities and ideas, and we started making short films together. The themes of our shorts were kind of the dynamics between men and women, the gender dynamics and abuse of power, and trauma were really kind of themes that we were interested in. And all of those themes have really culminated in Violation. So we're exploring all of those ideas.
Yeah, it's a very personal film for us, and we're really interested in trying to create a visceral experience for the audience so that they can try to understand and empathize with what it's like to go through something that's traumatic, and try to empathize with someone who's psychologically unraveling.
Cool, yeah. So this movie is one of 3 Midnight Madness movies for TIFF this year, while there are normally 10. Are you humbled by this exclusive screening opportunity?
Yeah, we're super thrilled that Peter Kaplowski at TIFF took a liking to the film and has been a really huge, enthusiastic champion. It's a great honor. Midnight Madness is such a great, terrific program to be in, and especially just given COVID and the reduction of slots at TIFF this year with only 50 films, it really definitely puts a spotlight on the movie in a way that it wouldn't normally get in recent years.
Yeah, we feel very, very lucky to be part of Midnight Madness and TIFF as a whole. And also Midnight Madness just comes with a really specific audience that we love. So we're particularly thrilled to be a Midnight Madness film.
Fantastic. And it's played at a drive-in, I'm assuming?
No, actually. So there are drive-in screenings, but our screening is actually at the Lightbox, which is fantastic.
Oh, wow.
The film, our amazing mixer, Matt Chan, mixed the film in 5.1. So it's really nice to be able to actually be in a proper theater. And, you know, Midnight Madness is all about the kind of collective community watching the film and their kind of visceral reactions as watching it. So we're happy to be kind of getting a public screening where there's that sense of community.
Please tell me about the advantage of co-directing.
Yeah, I mean, filmmaking, we both directed on our own for a while. It's very lonely, and it's hard. It's such a grind. We knew we were just both independently looking for a collaborator, and I think for us, the value is that you kind of share in the highs and the lows together.
And you also, I think, what's really important for both of us is kind of holding each other accountable and challenging each other. There's something on your own where you're just kind of in a vacuum creating, or that's how I felt before we started working together. And it's so much easier, more challenging, more fun to bounce ideas off each other. And we both have different skill sets, but we don't kind of delineate, this is your thing, this is my thing. We're both very much involved in every aspect of the directing process from beginning to end, and we just bring our own unique skills together.
Interesting. What messages did you want to drive home about this material to your actors while you prepped them?
I think that's a really, really interesting question. I think what was very important for us in discussing with the cast, and we had long discussions before we even got into rehearsals, we had long discussions just about the characters and about who they were and about their motivations. And I think what's complex about Violation is that it's not kind of like, these are the bad guys and these are the good guys. Everyone is bad and everyone is good, and it's gray and it's murky and it's difficult and complicated. So I think having these conversations with each cast member about what their unique perspective is and what is driving them. And really, I think we're of the opinion that every character is really kind of the protagonist in their own story. So even if you maybe do something really horrific, and I know my character in Violation does some pretty horrific things, there's a justification to yourself. And it's important that each actor believed in those justifications.
And that came from not judging the characters through this process. So I think it's really valuable as directors and working with actors that you're not, you're kind of giving credence to every motivation and every kind of instinct that's driving these characters, trying to understand what's fueling their decisions and their behavior, so that you can kind of deepen the dynamic between the characters and also kind of enrich the complexity of who they are, so that, like Madeline said, we're avoiding the kind of binary black and white good versus evil that you normally see portrayed in cinema. And what that does is, I think, really make the audience kind of switch sides. Sometimes you might be rooting for one character and then you kind of change your mind. And that's an interesting thing to be able to do, where the audience, you keep the audience guessing, and each scene kind of changes how you perceive the characters.
And hopefully creates empathy for people who you may not have had empathy for before watching.
Okay, so I'm a big horror fan myself. I watch a lot of, and sometimes there's like the outgross factor, or you reach a certain point where most horror movies have no effect on you anymore. And this one is very psychologically engaging and very intense. So I definitely felt like it met some of my peak freak out cinematic experiences. And I'm sure that was a great catharsis for you guys. And there's rich thematics. But I was wondering, were you ever negatively affected while working on this material?
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, because it's so personal to us, it's a cathartic experience making the film, right? So you're kind of probing your own, past traumas and relationships that have gone wrong, and you're kind of exploring your own kind of deep, dark fantasies in a way that hopefully is truthful and authentic. But it makes the whole process like you're living in this dark world for a really long time. So it's great to finally be out of that space. But I think what's really important about what we're trying to do here is that the film in many ways is a anti-revenge film. So in most revenge films, there's this sort of sequence where the audience cheers for the protagonist who gets to reenact their revenge, and there's this sort of cathartic release the audience gets. But we were more interested in the kind of grisly, gruesome nature of revenge, and what does it really do to your emotional, psychological character, and how does it erode your morality?
And what is the reality of it? What would it actually look like? Which is one of the reasons that we kind of steered away from that overt gross out factor that you're talking about, where you're using the camera to really kind of emphasize gore and blood, and we kind of felt like it might be more powerful to see it in a different way without giving too much away, see things in wides, and see them really play out in real time, to really kind of give that true anxiety that you would feel in the moment. But yeah, there was definitely some physical moments that were very, very tough as an actor in the film.
Would you please open up to me and tell me why this is a personal project for you guys?
Both of us actually have had experiences with sexual abuse in our own past, and that's something that we first just discussed as friends and confided in each other about these instances, and that kind of led to discussions about revenge and about kind of how you feel towards the people that have wronged you. So that was sort of the beginning. The beginning is of the idea and why it's personal.
Okay. So the script is non-chronological, and I was wondering how was it written? Was it written chronologically, then rearranged? Tell me about that process.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we wrote it in a nonlinear way, and that was because we were never really interested in a linear story. And if we were to make this a linear story, we would have told it very differently. We were really interested in trying to create for the audience a disorienting, experience that mirrors the trauma that our main character is going through. And that's a really challenging thing to try to do, is to create that feeling that kind of runs, it's a spine that runs throughout the entire film. And at the same time, we like the idea of recontextualizing characters. So you think you know who these characters are, but because the sequences are out of order, you have to keep updating your information about them, and you have to keep reassessing, reevaluating who they are. And that was really kind of interesting to us, to be able to tell the story in a way that kind of mirrors Miriam's post-traumatic stress, while at the same time really engaging the audience and kind of recontextualizing who these characters are.
Yeah, we wanted to create a visceral experience for the audience as well. Something that trauma is so sensory, and it's all of your senses, things you hear, sounds, things you see, that pull you back into these traumatic spirals. So we wanted to kind of explore that and hopefully create that feeling of being pulled back for the audience.
And yeah, so the structure is really kind of inspired by our main character's emotional, psychological unraveling. And so it's thematically structured in a way that hopefully helps the audience understand why she did what she did, and what led her to those difficult, gruesome choices.
So I loved the rural environment in this film, and it reminded me of another intelligent Canadian horror movie that was programmed in Midnight Madness back in 2017 called The Crescent. And I was wondering if either of you saw that movie.
Oh, that's interesting. No, we haven't seen it, but Peter has been recommending it to us. So we're going
to have to get on that now.
Have to check it out.
Yeah.
The visual inspiration for the film was when we were at the Talent Lab, Jean-Marc Vallée came and spoke with us and had he shared this idea he has about shooting on set, where he likes to shoot 360 with no lights. And that was really inspiring to hear like such a big director talk like that. And so we adopted that visual aesthetic with our short films, where we shot with all natural light, and we developed a shorthand with our cinematographer, Adam Crosby, to learn how to create that kind of cinematic quality, but shaping just the light sources that were available to you. So incandescent light bulbs and window lights and things like that. And then we also knew we just wanted to give the look of the film, something that felt kind of different and European. So we set it in the Laurentians in the mountains in Quebec. And that was something we were really excited to do. We feel like we haven't really seen that space often portrayed in cinema, and we were really excited to be able to show the kind of like the raw power and beauty of the surrounding area, and how that kind of is pressing against these characters.
Definitely worked for me. Interesting you mentioned European movies. I was wondering what were some other movies that consciously influenced Violation?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think definitely Michael Haneke influenced us in the way that he deals with straddling genre. Cachet, and in particular, you can look at it as a drama, but also as a thriller. We're also influenced by Funny Games and the way that he really holds on shots for such a long time that it makes it incredibly uncomfortable for the audience. And another filmmaker whose work really inspired us was Catherine Breillat. So Fat Girl, for example, was a big influence for us, where you get this drama between two sisters and you really see the kind of complexity of their relationship. And then you have these moments of extreme violence, really shocking violence as well.
All right. Is there another one you wanted to mention, Dusty?
Oh no, those are great references. I think when you're making your first feature, you have your short films, but people really don't care so much about them, and so you often have to use other films as kind of reference points. But ultimately, you're definitely treading in new territory, and you're trying to do something hopefully that people haven't seen before. So it's a strange thing to have to like reference all these different films. But we're really kind of fortunate that we've had like these really powerful filmmakers ahead of us that have, inspired us so much.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a unique movie. I don't know what I would compare it to personally. So that's why I asked you. But I really enjoyed it, and thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I was wondering, do you have any final words you would like to say about your film to my audience?
Yeah, we just want to, say that we couldn't have made this. We made this movie for no money with the support of Telefilm Canada's Talent to Watch program, the Canada Council for the Arts, and the Ontario Arts Council. And also, we just had a terrific cast, Jesse Levercombe,
Anna Maguire and Obi Abili,
and
really dedicated. Oh my God, the amount of themselves and blood, sweat, and tears that they put into this with us was just absolutely heartening and incredible.
And we really like the kind of horrific elements in the film, like just could not have been done at our budget level without the generous support and creative brilliance of Tennille Shaki, who's just this creative genius who works at Mind Warp Productions, but she really helped bring the kind of horror to the screen in such a realistic way.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you so very much for your time.
Thanks
Thank you so much for chatting with us.